Hi, welcome to my video about career reflection during COVID-19. I'm going to go ahead and share my slides with you so we can get started. And I have a lot of really good information for all of you out there, whether you are job searching or thinking about switching careers, or you don't know what to do right now during COVID. This information will also apply to your life after COVID. It will apply to your life for the rest of your life. So I want you to get ready to write, grab some paper and a pen, or get ready to type your answers out. I have a couple of exercises that I want you to answer as we go along. So my name is Gina Covarrubias. I am an engineering life coach, and what I do is I help STEM professionals evaluate their careers in the context of their lives. What I'm going to do is quickly go through the presentation outline. I'm going to give a very brief introduction to life coaching, and then we're going to talk about truths. What is true in your world versus what you think is true? And then we're going to cover an emotional framework for you. And the acronym is STEAR that I use. And this emotional framework is very important because it is going to teach you the purpose of your feelings and how to use them to your best advantage. We're going to talk about how to steer your life in the right direction, followed by a conclusion. So let's get going. In the introduction, we have two ways that we experience our world. The first way is through the five sensations, which typically start inside the body or on the surface of the body. And those sensations travel through the body up to our brains. The other way we experience the world around us is by our perceptions. So what happens is you have an external world around you, and I refer to those as circumstances or situations. Same thing. Your brain's job is to interpret all of the externals around you, and that's where life coaching comes into play. Life coaching studies your perceptions, your interpretations of the world around you. As you can see at the bottom, bullet 1 says that life coaching opens the window into your brain's interpretations of the external world. That is very important because most of us don't take the time to sit back and think about the externals going on around us. Bullet 2 says, I help you as a life coach dial into your belief systems. I help you understand what's going on up here, and then I help guide you to change them accordingly to make your life better. Section 2, what is true in your life? So this is a very important concept. There's the truth and there's what you think is true. I refer to that, as you can see at the top, as your narrative versus the external world. Let's start on the left. Your narrative are the beliefs, thoughts, and stories that you tell yourself. Your narrative is subjective and it's full of opinions. And I have an example narrative here, and this might be a story somebody has told himself after being laid off. I was recently let go after 5 years. It's going to be difficult to find a job I like because I'm older, and thanks to COVID-19, not many employers are hiring. Now I've had to cancel my summer vacation and look to start over somewhere else. Let's look to the right. Let's talk about the external world. Let's talk about the real situations and the real circumstances here. The external world is only full of facts and objective, provable truths that we can prove. So what I've done is I've taken the narrative on the left-hand side and I've pulled out the facts and I've listed them on the right-hand side. The facts of this story are, number 1, yes, you worked for your job for the previous 5 years. You are currently employed, that's a fact. You are actively seeking a job, that's a fact. The job market is a little bit tighter than average. We could prove that with statistics. You canceled your vacation. That is a fact. Those are the facts of the narrative you tell yourself. The rest of the sentences, the rest of the words that you're believing up here are unnecessary drama. So this exercise is meant to get you thinking about what am I telling myself versus what is the actual objective fact out there in the world. Moving on, your life curriculum. Situations and circumstances are presented to you. We all have a different life. We all have different challenges and objections and priorities. The externals in our world, which include our circumstances and our situations, are referred to as our life curriculum. Each and every one of us has a different curriculum. What I've done here in this table is I've listed different examples of what your life curriculum may look like. It includes other people, it includes finances, it includes jobs, it includes the words people say, other people's actions, a diagnosis, your past, and COVID is in there too. COVID is just a circumstance out there in the world. It is part of our curriculum right now. And I want you to read the bottom. Situations create your life curriculum. Your human challenge, whether you are employed or not, is to manage your given curriculum. Don't worry about other people's lives and what they're dealing with. You worry about your given life curriculum. Here is our first question for you. Number one, the top 3 life curriculum situations that haunt you the most are what? I want you to write them down and leave some space next to your answers because we have another question coming up. And if you need to pause and think about it, that's fine. Pause the video. Listed here in the table, once again, are my examples from the previous slide. You can use those, or if you have different examples, maybe you have a leaky house, maybe your car is giving you problems, maybe your boss or colleagues at work are giving you problems. I want you to write down your top 3 biggest issues right now you're dealing with in your life curriculum. The next question is, I want you to follow up next to each of those answers. I want you to write down what it's costing you. What is the price that you're paying for this issue? And I wrote this hint here on the slide, just in case you're having trouble with this question. How would your life be different if you could resolve this issue? So again, I want you to pause the video and think about, what is it costing me since I can't solve this problem or this issue? How would my life be better if I could solve this? And we're going to come back and revisit this at the conclusion. Moving on about section 2, what is true in your life? Let's talk about employment in your life curriculum. Bullet 1 says, we get comfortable when life is easy. Have you ever thought about this before? When things are going your way and everything is as planned and you're enjoying life, you kind of almost get used to it. And it's almost as if we feel entitled when everything is going well. And then all of a sudden, boom, we have a disruption. And bullet number 2 says, we tell ourselves that things have gone wrong when life isn't so easy. And aren't we guilty of that? Something happens to disrupt your plans. You don't get the job that you wanted. You broke up with your boyfriend or girlfriend, whatever the issue is. You tell yourself things have gone wrong. It shouldn't have been this way. That wasn't supposed to happen. Those are thoughts that are making you suffer unnecessarily. So be cautious when life is easy. Don't get too comfortable with it because at any given moment, things can be disrupted. And bullet 3 here toward the top says your job is just a part of your human experience. Your self-description is not your job description. I know a lot of us have been guilty of that. We tend to equate the value at work with the value we bring as a human being. And that is a very painful way to live. Jobs come and go, they're temporary. You are permanent as a person as long as you're living here on this earth. So I want you to remember, whether you're employed or not, Jobs are just a part of your human experience. The other thing I wanted to talk about when it comes to your life curriculum is that your life is fair game. We are not entitled to be happy 100% of the time, as the bullet at the bottom says. Your life is fair game from everything wonderful to everything tragic and everything in between. As humans, we're going to experience the full spectrum of emotions. Life coaching, and what I do as a life coach is I help you embrace and manage your mental capacity to handle all possibilities in your life. So sometimes things don't go our way, sometimes things get really bad. That's where a life coach comes into play. We help you get grounded and we help you separate your narrative from what's actually true out there in the world, and then we help you manage it. Moving on to section 3. Now it's time to talk about your emotional framework that I refer to as STEAR. But before I get to that, I want to talk about why it's so important to separate your narrative from your situations or your circumstances. And a very big reason is at the top, confirmation bias. This means that whatever you believe is what your brain sees. It's very, very important. Your brain seeks evidence to prove that it's true, that what it believes is true. And I really like the way Warren Buffett explained this, and that's why I put his quote in here. What human beings are best at doing is interpreting all new information so that their prior conclusions remain intact. What this means, what he's saying, is that whatever you believe up here, your brain is going to find out there in the world. Moving on to the second bullet. Why is it so important to separate your narrative from situations in the world? Because your beliefs and your thoughts create your reality. And the way they do that is through this emotional framework that I refer to as STEAR. Situations lead your brain to think thoughts, which produce emotions or feelings inside of your body. Those emotions fuel your actions, and all the actions that you do in your life create your reality. So big takeaway from this slide is at the bottom. Your beliefs propagate your reality, and this is really, really good to know. This is great news because you get to choose your beliefs. You get to decide what you want to believe. Here is another question for the audience members. If you are currently employed, you can answer question 3. If you are not currently employed, you can answer question number 4. So question 3, for those of you with a job, what would you think if your boss said you are not getting a raise this year? I want you to write down 1 or 2 sentences. What would you think about that? For those of you who are unemployed, what do you think about your unemployment status? I want you to pause this video, write down 1 or 2 sentences about what you think about that situation. Moving on to the next slide. For those of you that are employed, I have an example here. I'm going to apply this STEAR framework so you can see how it works. Situation at the top. Your boss tells you there's no raise for you this year. We're going to start with the left side of this table. You could have a thought of all the thoughts out there to believe. You could think to yourself, after all I've done, it's clear they don't value me. And when you think that and when you believe that, you feel frustrated and resentful. And what do you do as a result of feeling frustrated and resentful? You complain to your colleagues and your family. Maybe you avoid challenging tasks at work. Maybe you perform at a minimum and you say to yourself, why should I do any more than I have to? At the end of the day, because of this thought, when you're telling yourself, when you're believing that they don't value me, at the end of the day, what you're doing is you're not valuing your own potential. You're selling yourself short. That's the reality you create based off of this belief on the left-hand side. Now, let's look at the right-hand side. This is a different thought you could believe. This is something I'm going to offer to you. They may not recognize it, but I know my own worth. So your boss says to you, you're not getting a raise, And you can walk away if you wanted to and think to yourself, I know what I produce. I know my own worth. I know I'm worth it, whether I get a raise or not. That is going to lead you to feel secure and worthy, which in turn is going to allow you to commend your accomplishments and not complain. You're going to seek challenging tasks at work. You're not going to avoid them. You're going to perform with curiosity, and you're going to ask yourself, how can I make this better? At the end of the day, your reality is that you are reinforcing this belief you have in yourself, that you're very secure and worthy. So this brain exercise at the bottom is something I want you to think about after you're done watching this video. What reality does your belief in question 3 produce? Look at your answer, and when you have time, go back and see if you can find out the emotion and the actions and the reality that your thought and your belief is producing for you. Now, in the next example, this is for those of you who are unemployed, and we're going to go through an example of using the STEAR framework. With this situation, you are unemployed and you're seeking a job. Now, we could, on the left-hand side, you could think to yourself, it's really hard to find a job these days, it's going to take forever, barely anybody's hiring, blah, blah, blah. From that belief, you're probably going to feel frustrated, desperate, maybe useless, maybe a few other negative terms. What you're going to do as a result of those feelings, you're probably going to apply for less than desirable jobs because you're desperate. You're going to apply to jobs that you're not qualified for, or you might get frustrated and stop seeking altogether and just shut your laptop down. You might get down on yourself for not finding a job, or you might just kind of wait for a friend to come through and hope something lands in your lap. The reality here that you're creating for yourself as a result of thinking it's hard to find a job these days, it's going to take forever. Your reality is that you're getting in your own way of finding a new job. You're reinforcing this thought. Now you could choose to think something different. Let's move to the right-hand side of this table. You could choose to think, I've not found a new job, but I know somebody out there needs my services. I just know somebody's waiting for me. From that belief, from that feeling, from that belief and from that thought, you're going to feel confident. You're probably going to feel curious and determined. And so how are you going to act based on those emotions? You're going to expand your job board resources. You're going to apply to relevant or interesting jobs, not to jobs that don't interest you just because they're out there. And you're going to make a commitment. You're going to apply as though this were your full-time job. You're not going to give up and shut down the laptop. So from these feelings of confidence and curiosity and determination, the reality that you're creating for yourself is that you're mitigating your situation and you're taking massive action. And that is because of your thought that you really believe somebody out there needs you. So for you who are unemployed, I want you to do this brain exercise on your own time. What is the reality that your beliefs and thoughts are producing for you? Moving on, section 4. You get to steer your own life. Remember, STEAR stands for this emotional framework that creates your reality. And self-awareness, as it says at the top, is extremely critical for you steering your own life. Your perceptions, your thoughts, and your beliefs dictate your reality. Bullet number 2 says that your past happened perfectly. I really want this to sink in for some of you because it's very tempting to beat yourself up for things that you did or did not do in the past. Instead, what I want you to think is that everything in your past happened just as it was supposed to lead you to today. Bullet 3 says we don't evolve or grow by remaining comfortable. We have got to get outside of our comfort zone if we want to grow and become stronger. Bullet 4 says allow yourself to be open to all possibilities. And once again, that's where I come in. I can help you open your mind and expand your mind and not be afraid of all possibilities. At the bottom is another brain exercise I'd like to challenge you to look at on your own time and try to answer some of these questions for yourself. Who am I with my job? Who am I without a job? How is this happening for me instead of to me? How can I, right now, given my circumstances, be an example of what's possible? How can I be present with what is? In what direction do I want to steer my own life? Section 5, I want to conclude with the bold sentence on top. Your work in this world is to reconcile what is versus your expectations. Your beliefs create your reality via the STEAR emotional framework. So the externals and the situations and the circumstances do not create your feelings. Your feelings come from up here. They come from your beliefs and your thoughts. When you resist what is going on around you, when you resist circumstances, when you really wish that things are different or better, you're resisting what is. And we make ourselves suffer unnecessarily when we resist what is. So again, the big conclusion here is to reconcile what is versus what you wish or your expectations. And the last part of the conclusion, what I want you to do is on your own time, review your answers that you wrote to questions number 1 and 2. Look at the price you're paying right now and think about what it's costing you. These things that are giving you this heartache and issues and problems in your life, what are they costing you? And ask yourself, how long is too long? When is enough enough? When are you going to do something about it? Are you just going to sit back and feel sorry for yourself? Are you going to hope it goes away? How are you going to reconcile and make your life better? Once again, this is my very last slide, and I want to reiterate, your work in the world is to reconcile what is versus your expectations. And if you can't figure out how to do that, that's where I come into play. I always offer free coaching to anybody up front who wants it. All you have to do is send me a note or sign up for my newsletter. I've got other videos on YouTube and on my website, which is deliberatedoing.com. At any time, send me a note, gina@deliberatedoing.com, and let me know if you want to talk about how to approach some of these issues. Let me know if you have ideas you just want to bounce off of me. Maybe you just need an unbiased party to listen to what you have to say. I'm always open to listening and to helping. That's why I'm here. That is my purpose, is to help. So don't hesitate to contact me. And I wish you a wonderful day. Thank you for watching this, and please share with others if you think they will benefit. Thank you.